Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around was Kill the Moon. What happened on that one?
So the Doctor and Clara landed on a space shuttle heading towards the moon. They were going to blow it up or try to move it or do something with it because they had all these nuclear weapons on board. But as it turns out, the moon wasn't what we thought it was, despite the fact that we've been to the moon many times with the Doctor before. And it was essentially a gigantic egg, and inside there was some kind of creature that was about to hatch. And there was a whole debate on, do we have the right to kill it? It is a living creature, but on the other hand, if you don't kill it, the destruction of the moon would cause destruction of a lot of the planet Earth. And so it's, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And the egg hatches, and apparently, like a tribble, it's born pregnant and it lays another egg. It was weird. Interesting argument on both sides, but kind of a weird thing to do with the moon. We pointed out that, there's an episode with the second Doctor of the Moon base.
Yeah, that takes place 21 years after Kill the Moon. So I guess that's why they put a moon base up there, was because they were like, well, it's a new moon, we gotta go check this thing out. So
yeah, anyway,
I mean that's the thing about Doctor Who, is that there will be something, you'll watch an episode in the 60s and be like, oh, it takes place in the far off future of the 2000s, and then you get to that point and you're like, well, it didn't happen, did it? So we're going to get to a point where 2018 is going to roll around, and what was his name? Salamander? Was that it? The dictator of the world? He's not going to be there. He's not going to show up. That would be amazing, though, if they had done that because that'd be during the 13th Doctor's era, if they had just done an episode where it's like, yeah, the world got taken over by this guy that looks like the second Doctor. So,
and to me, of course, having lived through that, the thing is, the moon base was probably, second season of the second Doctor?
That was like the third episode, I think.
Oh.
Of the second Doctor.
So that would have been, about 66, 67?
Yeah.
We hadn't even been to the moon yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're working, it's like when I got my first set of encyclopedias in 1959. The article on space travel says, someday man will go into space. It's like, that literally happened either that year or the next year with Sputnik. Anyway, so it's the difference between the 1960s with the second Doctor, and now we're into the 21st century with the 12th Doctor. So, yeah. Anyway.
The big takeaway from last episode was the Doctor basically leaving, abandoning Clara to make the choice about the dragon egg moon thing, and her feeling very betrayed by it, and at the end telling Danny all about it and saying, once I calm down, I'm going to tell him we're done. That's where we left off.
Okay.
So today we're rewatching Mummy on the Orient Express. We have previously watched this episode in our tour of modern Doctor Who. You can go watch that episode, that reaction from all the way back then. But this is going to be a rewatch. How much do you remember from this episode?
Other than it bothered me that it was not the actual Orient Express, because I think that would have been much better. I don't know why it had to be set where it's set. And I don't remember that there was any friction between the Doctor and Clara.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. So, the other thing, I suppose the reason why it's the Orient Express in space is they mentioned this. If you remember at the end of season 5, when the 11th Doctor picked up Amy and Rory after their wedding, he got a call and said, yes, I understand this is a bit of a problem. He said something like a reincarnated Egyptian goddess on the Orient Express in space. And the implication was the implication was that was going to be the next episode, but it wasn't. And then when it wasn't the next episode, people thought, okay, well, that was just a little throwaway line that they did. And now we're back to it. After all this time, I guess he finally is getting around to it. To be fair, he's a time traveler, so I guess he can afford to do that, but
yeah.
I don't know. You got anything else?
For those of you who are following my reading exploits, I'm now on to Terry Pratchett's Soul Man, and finding some very unusual callbacks to early rock and roll. A young man who's got it sounds like a Welsh name, but it's one of the Fairy Kingdom names. He is Imp. Middle name is just a Y, and then it's something else. And they translate it, and he says his last name means of the hollies, and Imp literally was meaning like a bud on the holly bush. So his new name is Bud E. Holly. And he's starting a rock band here on Discworld. And by rock band, the percussionist actually has rocks that when he beats on them, they sound like drums. So. Terry Pratchett has to be one of the most gifted and twisted comic science fiction geniuses I think I've read. I loved Kurt Vonnegut when I read him. I love Kevin Hearn when I read him. This guy is just leagues beyond both of them.
As for my reading exploits, not that anyone asked any of us, but I'm currently reading through One Piece. For those of you that don't know, One Piece is a long-running manga. It started in either 2000 or 1999, and it's been going ever since. It has 1,200 chapters, just about. I think I'm at about 213-ish. So I have about 1,000 chapters more to go, but I just finished up the Alabasta arc, which is good, which is what the next season of the Netflix live-action version is going to be based around. It's going to be that arc. So. And
did I hear you and your brother discussing something about the fact that Pokemon is now like 40 years old?
30.
30.
It's 30 this year. It did start in 96. Okay. So, but yeah. So that's where we are with our reading that nobody asked for and nobody cares about really. So
we get comments.
Well, you get comments. I don't know how many of you guys are One Piece fans out there. If you're not a One Piece fan, let me actually recommend the Netflix show, the live action Netflix show, because it's actually a good way of getting into the series. Like it condenses everything down. Well, not everything. They still have a long way to go. But the first 2 seasons are out right now. They're going to do season 3 next year, and they're very nice, concise, more palatable for a modern audience because if you try to read the manga, that's over 1,000 chapters. If you try to watch the anime, that's over 1,000 episodes, and the anime is really not that good in comparison to the manga. So, but the Netflix show is really good. So if anyone wants to try that out, if you want, it honestly kind of some of the wackiness you just described from Terry Pratchett, if you just mix that in with like Pirates of the Caribbean and just threw a bunch of colors into a blender, that's kind of what One Piece is. So it's very zany but very fun. So anyway, let's get into Mummy on the Orient Express.
Start the clock.
Makes you wonder what Agatha Christie would think of all this. See, I had such high hopes seeing all of this.
No, yeah.
Is there a doctor? Sorry, I need a doctor. Sorry, I don't know. She just stopped.
I mean, I like the idea of space trains, but it is a strange thing to do.
Well, if I recall, it doesn't really add anything to the story. I don't remember it that well, but...
Yeah, it's not a ton, but...
Yeah.
I just thought that this would be a good one, too.
To end it. Yeah. It is. It's a good choice. Good one to end on.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Never noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
No, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. He had no context going into this episode.
You'll be able to see the soaring majesty of the Magellan Black Hole.
Oh, I remember when this was all planets as far as the eye could see.
Now it's just Walmarts.
Gobbled up by that beast.
Space Walmarts.
Galactic Walmart.
So, what are you, Dr. Roberts?
Now, there's a question that's never asked often enough. Let's say, intestinal parasites.
I'm beginning to think Miss Pitt was right about you.
Eh.
Might be nothing. Old ladies die all the time. It's practically their job description.
Monster? Oh, last, yeah, but I mean, it's not like I'm never going to see you again.
Isn't it?
Is it?
I thought that's what you wanted.
No, well, I mean, you know, you're going to come round for dinner or something, aren't you? Do you do that? Do you come round to people's houses for dinner?
He tried that once. Then they got
course, why wouldn't they?
zapped back in time and died.
I find it boring.
It's nothing. Nothing. Definitely, sure. 99%. Sure. Really? 99%? That's quite high. Is that the figure you're sticking with? Okay. 75. Well, that's jumped quite a bit. It just lost 24%.
So your space train. At least it's not dangerous.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
The myth of the foretold first appeared over 5,000 years ago. In some stories, there is a riddle or secret word that is supposed to make it stop. Some characters try to bargain with it. Offer riches, confess sins, all to no avail.
Well, you said in a little mythology.
I know a lot. Because from time to time, it turns out to be true.
They might have been there for all we know.
Hey, listen. You didn't do anything wrong. Difficult people. And they can make you feel all sorts of things.
Difficult, for
You
example.
didn't do it. You didn't come.
It's immortal, unstoppable, unkillable.
Can we get a new expert?
Where are we going anyway?
Yes.
But the lights,
Doctor, move away from the door.
my friends inside.
They're in trouble too. I spoke to head office. There is no mystery shopper. You're not even on the passenger list.
I'm gonna have to call you back.
Why would the head office know about a mystery shopper?
You know, we're gonna have to mark you down for this.
You are not. It turns out it's 3. The amount of people that had to die before I stopped looking the other way.
Thank you.
Wish that number was lower.
Same as the others. The engines have stopped.
The classic closed door mystery.
And the facade.
I give you all my worldly goods. Only, please,
Zero.
We apologize for any distress you may have just experienced. Grief counseling
thanks.
is available on request. On the bright side,
Doesn't seem to be any pattern. Their travel history, interests, health.
Supposed to be
It's all
Einstein.
over the shop.
Health, are you sure?
Eh, Space
Mrs. Pitt's the
Einstein.
first victim.
Post-traumatic stress. Nightmares. Still can't sleep without pills.
Which means that you are probably next.
I wasn't bombed, but I can't sleep without pills either.
Well, not.
If only I could see this thing.
Don't even joke about that.
I'm not joking about it. 1 minute with me, and this thing, it won't be over.
You know, Doctor, I can't tell if you're a genius or just incredibly arrogant.
Well,
Yes.
have a good day, Amber. It takes them out of phase so it can drain their energy. You, sir, are a genius. This explains everything. Apart from what it is and how it's doing it. Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
come there with the you're a genius that explains everything with a mark.
Doctor,
This is another chance.
To observe it in action.
As it kills her.
Of course, as it kills her.
If it happens in there, it'll be a waste. So bring
Her to us.
How exactly? She's never going to agree to this.
Well, I don't know, lie to her. Tell her I can save her, whatever it takes to get her here. It's probably Gus trying to block her escape route.
But how does he even know what it is? Because if he knows what it is, then he knows what you are.
Well, he has tried to entice me here before. Free tickets, mysterious summons. He even phoned the TARDIS one. You know how difficult I know.
You knew this was no relaxing break. You knew this was dangerous.
I didn't know. I certainly hoped.
Read this. You said this.
I'm so pleased to finally see you. I'm the Doctor, and I will be your victim this evening. Are you my mummy?
Are you my mummy?
You can't hurt me until
The
my
only
time
one
is
to
up.
walk towards it.
So are there magic words? Is there a way to stop you in your tracks? Oh, you really didn't like your gran, did you? Something visible under the bandages. By the way, you weren't being paranoid. She really did poison your pony.
Oh, the pony.
Markings like the ones on the scroll. Well, it won't let the war end. It just won't let you stop until the war is over. We surrender! 0.
I can see it again.
It's okay.
The clock has stopped. You're a relieved soldier.
He's not the only one.
Unfortunately, survivors of this exercise are not required.
Oh, well, there's a shocker.
Air will now be removed from the entire train. We hope you've enjoyed your journey on the Orient Express.
I think you
It
know
could have been
what?
better.
Enemies. I dropped everyone off at the nearest civilized planet, which happened to be here. You seemed happy asleep, so I just left you.
So you saved everyone.
No, I just saved you, and I let everyone else suffocate. Yeah, this is just my cover story. Well, I suppose whoever I did get in might just be easier to have them stay on board for a while. I don't suppose you'd know of anyone.
No. Sorry, Doctor, but I don't think I do. That job could change a man.
Yes, it does. Frequently. Sorry.
Danny, he's fine with the idea of me and you knocking about. It was his idea that we stop, but he's decided he doesn't mind, and neither do I. What to hell with the last hurrah, let's keep going.
It's a big change of heart.
Yeah, they happen.
Well, I'm glad that you said that. Because you know that one that's made entirely of shrubs? Are you sure about this?
Are you? Have you ever been sure?
Then what are you waiting for? Let's go.
Alrighty. More lies.
All right, so having seen that out of context, didn't realize a lot of that, didn't remember the opening hardly at all. The dynamic does play out. Again, I'm not sure why this couldn't have been done in a real train on a real planet.
Well, I mean, the main thing... Well, do you wish it was just a real train on a real planet, or the real train in the past?
It didn't have to be the real train, although that would have been, in my opinion, much better. But that is such an incredibly well-known story that not to have it, and again, in the original story, they get stopped in the mountains when it snows,
Yeah.
and they can't go anywhere. And Gus could have done that. He could have had an avalanche of snow or whatever. I realize that it seems more realistically claustrophobic on a planet in a snowstorm than it does in space. Because you're going, it's a train in space, or is it? Or there's so much stuff that if the passengers, and if they were in fact real, as we saw some of them weren't, but to see them literally go, wait a minute, we are stuck. We're not only stuck on this train as it's traveling, but now we're stuck and we can't get out of the train, because they would all understand the avalanche and the snow, and if they go outside, they're going to freeze to death. And the Gus could have dumped all the people out in the snow, and you could have saw their frozen bodies. And it's just, I don't know. That's me as a director. That's my personal choice. I would not have said it in space. I would have said it, and it doesn't even have to be on Earth. It could be on a planet somewhere that resembles Earth, but just to make it more like the original story. Other than that, again, my only real objection, and we think we had this the first time, if that soldier was in fact an Egyptian, he would not have saluted.
Oh, yeah.
At best, he would have done something like, the Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think the Egyptians had any kind of salute like that.
I mean, I guess the main thing is that he just was a soldier in some war thousands of years ago in space, and it's what they said, that he had this technology, this army had this technology to keep them alive this whole time, but his malfunctioned, and thus he only appears sometimes. But that's the thing, is just that they worked on him. It's just whatever civilization this was bandaged him up as a mummy, specifically. I mean, it's supposed to be the red herring. You see the mummy, you hear, oh, there's this legend of thousands of years ago, and then once the Doctor figures it out, it's like, okay, this is what it actually is. It just kind of looks like a mummy.
Yeah.
So,
but again, they had all of the elements there. They could have made it a real Egyptian soldier. Could have been another soldier who had been disguised as an Egyptian mummy. But again, the fact that it's so nebulous, it's, you know, some guy from some army somewhere in space. To me, it doesn't make it as concrete, as solid for me as an audience member. So, but that's just me. I mean, I don't know how popular this particular episode was with the general public.
I think it's fairly popular. I don't know if it's, you know, considered one of the best, but it is up there. In terms of this era, the reason we watched this originally in the tour of New Doctor Who was that, you know, we were trying to find episodes that just sort of fit as a introduction episode to this era, and this one just kind of works. I mean, I know it has sort of it sort of, you know, continues on from last episode and what was going on there, but really there's not many other episodes. Like, I mean, we could have gone with like Time Heist or something, but it's not as interesting as this episode. So, but yeah, I don't know. And they definitely could have just made it like, you know, on Earth in the future, or maybe they could have gone back to New Earth, and it's like, well, on New Earth, you know, they're so nostalgic for old Earth that they made the new Orient Express, and then that same, you know, the new Orient Express, it looks almost identical, but then, you know, you get the snow, you get the avalanche, and you have Gus controlling the train and everything. So maybe you just, if you need to kill the chefs, just, you know, I don't know, just throw them off a cliff somewhere. So it could have worked. It being in space is just kind of a, what if the Orient Express was in space?
Yeah.
So,
so, you know, again, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not the choice I would have made.
No, yeah.
Either as a writer or as a director. But that's just me.
No, yeah.
But you're right, you know, yeah. The train's going around a cliff before it gets stopped in the snow. Open the door, and all those chefs tumble out, you know, like Bucky Barnes to his death down the ravine, whatever.
No, yeah.
I think there could have been a little bit more exposition about the experts who are on the train.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing, is they set up, like, we have a whole team of, you know, biologists and scientists and doctors and all this stuff, and really the only people that get highlighted are Professor Morehouse and Perkins, and that's it, really. Yeah. Like, none of the others really did anything. They were just kind of there. Yeah. So,
and interesting, because they did something there right at the end that we've talked about before. You have an interesting character like Perkins, and he says, hey, you know, you want to come along? Maybe you could help us out. And the guy goes, yeah, now that I think about it, probably not for me.
Yeah. So, there was at least an idea of that. Yeah. But yeah, and I guess for the other stuff, I mean, the main thing is, well, not the main thing, but just continuing on from last episode with Clara. I mean, it's interesting because this episode doesn't really give a resolution to that whole thing, which we only have 4 more episodes in the season, I think. So this is still going on, obviously, but it really doesn't give that resolution. At the end, you know, she basically lies again. You know, she's been accusing the Doctor of lying the entire episode, basically, and then she just goes ahead and does it, because they talk about it's this addiction. And this is kind of the moment where you stop and you think, okay, where are they going with Clara? You know, what are we going to do here? Because this kind of, you know, when they talk about, like, oh, well, you know, yeah, we may not be going on adventures anymore, but, you know, you'll come over for dinner or something, right? And the Doctor says, well, I mean, I can. And it's like, well, he did that with Amy and Rory, and then kept taking them on adventures, and then they died. And that was frustrating to watch. And now we have Clara, who is so excited. She's still lying to Danny about it, and now she's lying to the doctor about it all as well. And and she's still going. She's all gung ho after everything that happened. She's like, "Let's do it. Let's just go." And you just kind of sit here, and it's like, I don't know. I don't know about this. Like, it makes you nervous about what are they going to do with Clara. Yeah. So, and this will keep going. We'll be bringing this up for a while as to Clara's arc and everything. It's tricky, and then we're gonna keep going after that. It's New Who companions are. I mean, they're all great. I like all the new companions, all the new modern Doctor Who companions, but a lot of them, their endings, I'm just like, I wish you wouldn't do that. I wish you wouldn't do that. Some of them, I would just like if they were just Martha and they just walked away. Yeah.
Well, there's also that huge difference between Classic Who and New Who, in that without having a huge amount of control over the TARDIS, especially the first couple of Doctors, but it's like Ian and Barbara didn't go along because they wanted to. Yeah. And basically, when they finally got a chance to go home using the Daleks time machine, they took that. Yeah. Jamie couldn't go, but he kind of ultimately decided that being with the Doctor was a good thing for him. And then when it was told he had to go home, he didn't really want to go, but then they erased his memory so that he wouldn't remember anything about it. So it's very few of the Classic Who companions walked away on their own. Yeah.
I think the closest thing to that would have probably been Tegan, because she didn't want to be there pretty much the whole time, and eventually, I don't remember what episode that was. It might have been a Dalek episode where it just the episode ended and like most people were like massacred after that, and she was just like, you know what, we're here on Earth. I'm done. I can't do this, and she walked away. Eventually, she came back to the TARDIS anyway, but yeah, that's sort of the closest thing where, in New Who there is much more emphasis on the companion, the Doctor companion dynamic, their story. I mean, it's almost like it's almost the negative side of, I guess, as they would say, the domestication of what's going on. The fact that the companions do have lives at home, which we had that with Rose, which was innovative. Of you go back home, their mom's still there, Mickey's still there and stuff, and then she gets left behind in another world. And you have Martha there, and it's like, well, she left, but after being traumatized by a year at war with the Master that was erased from time and everything. And then you have Donna, and that didn't work out either. Then you had Amy and Rory, and that didn't work out either. And now you have Clara, and you're kind of sitting here, it's like, are they going to do it again? Are they going to do this again with Clara? Because, especially now after this episode, that's where they're pushing it. So,
but the real difference here is that, now, Eccleston was not that young. He may have been young, he certainly didn't look young. But he looked considerably older than Rose. But now there is let's face it, Capaldi is old. Yeah. Right? Even if he was in his, 50s at this point? Yeah. Clara's got to be only in her 20s.
Yeah, probably late 20s, early 30s, I would imagine.
So there's a considerable difference in age there. Now, so I know Clara is addicted to the fun, and she does remember the 11th Doctor. But you can't, viscerally, speaking, she can't get over the fact that this guy is old enough to be her father.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing. People will often cite this sort of different kind of romance between the 12th Doctor and Clara. It's very different from like the 10th Doctor and Rose, which that was pretty simple. They still ship it to this day. You can still see people making fan art of the 10th Doctor and Rose, and it is a thing that has plagued Doctor Who ever since then. And we'll unfortunately be talking about that again in the coming years. but this one is strange. I mean, it is this sort of love story, but it is, I mean, it's as they say here, it's this addiction that, the doctor is like, well, is it an addiction for the doctor, or is it for him? That's just life. This is just what it's been for 2,000 years. It's just how my life works. Someone's got to do this. Someone's got to save the world. But for Clara, it's even more of an addiction. It's like, well, you could walk away. You could go somewhere else. You could go home. He doesn't have a home. It's gone. I mean, maybe it's out there somewhere. But for right now, it's gone. He has nothing really to go back to. It's just him and his TARDIS. So it's this very dangerous thing. It's this very dangerous thing, especially for Clara. So
now, this is kind of coming out of left field. What I'm seeing here is what I would call a Pygmalion or My Fair Lady kind of vibe here, because in My Fair Lady, you got Professor Higgins, older man. He's a scholar in linguistics. He finds a young Cockney flower girl, and says, he has literally a bet with his best friend, kind of a Holmes and Watson sort of thing, but he says, I can take this girl out of the gutter, change the way she speaks, and make anybody believe that she's royalty. And I think what we've got here is he's got this idea that this young woman can be changed, that she doesn't have to be just, a teacher. Now, we seem to have, we don't want to say forgotten, but pushed into the background that the infinite Clara, who's been throughout his life, whether he realizes it or not, because they never mention that again. They don't, at least so far they haven't.
Yeah.
But she is basically saying, I like what you have done for me, as dangerous and as outright stupid as it seems to be sometimes. Again, it's not so much an addiction as she says, that's something I want to do, something I want to be. I want to be not just who I used to be, the governess, the teacher. I want to do something else with my life, and this is all I've got at the moment.
So I mean, and
discuss.
I mean, you could also kind of see that within like Sherlock, because it was also Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss writing that, where it's like, you have Watson, and he's fine, he's recovering from the war and everything, but you kind of see that throughout Sherlock, is that how Watson changes by being around Sherlock, and how they just kind of keep going in and doing these these things, and it's like, well, on the surface it's like, well, these are good things for them to be doing, but you do kind of see this strange symbiotic relationship forming between Watson and Sherlock, and then you kind of have the same thing going on here with Clara and the Doctor. And it could also be, that if you wanted to read into it even a little further, it could be a thing of, she has this addiction where she wants to do this, but you notice she always, it's just her now, Like with Amy, you could argue maybe there was some of that, but there was also Rory there. Rory tempers everything, He's always, not to say a wet blanket, because, we all love Rory, but he is the sort of thing that...
Voice of reason.
He's the thing that holds the two of them down a lot. Whereas, that's not really here. You kind of have that with Danny, but you notice that she has never invited Danny to come with them. Now maybe the Doctor would have a problem with that, maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he would have some stern objections, but she's never even asked if Danny could come. He says, in earlier episodes, like, why do you do this? It doesn't make any sense. It's so strange. And it's like, well, you can't fully judge it without experiencing it. But he doesn't. And he won't. And it's just kind of so that maybe that almost feeds into it, that it's, her trying to keep these two worlds almost separate, She goes off into the fairy tale, and when she's tired, when she's done with that, she can go home, kick her feet up, have a drink and watch some TV, go do her schoolwork and stuff like that, and then go off on the exciting adventure. And it's just trying to basically keep the two worlds separate. So I don't know. I mean, I do know. I watched the episodes, and I know exactly where all of this is going. But
and I have no clue.
Yeah, I know where all of this is going, and it's it's something. It's something. It's not bad, so there's at least that. But it is, I mean, it is sort of like the Amy and Rory thing, where I hold that even though some of those episodes, some of those last Amy and Rory episodes were really good, I do hold that it was almost a mistake to do that, or at least to just like keep teasing that of they're gonna retire, they're done, they're not coming back. You know, maybe we see them at Christmas, you know, in a little cameo, but that's it. They're not coming back, and then they kept coming back, and then they kept coming, and they kept coming, and they kept coming, and finally you get an episode where it's like, well, should they be doing this? Should they not? And it's like, well, maybe it's okay. You know, what's the worst that could happen? The next episode they died. And it's just kind of a thing. It's like, cool, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Especially after multiple sad endings in the Tenet era, that you just did that again. And it is kind of a thing where in this episode, it's like you look at Clara and it's like, you're doing it again. You're doing it again. And I'm just not sure about it. So anyway, and mummies.
And mummies.
And also mummies. So that's...
So what's up next?
Next up is Flatline, I believe.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, I kind of remember that episode. I remember it more than most episodes of this season. So that was actually the thing going into this episode. I was like, okay, well, I know, you know, it's supposed to be, you know, they're sort of, you know, one last hurrah, and the mummy, and I was like, the train, and Perkins. I don't remember anything else. So it's clearly been a while since we did this episode. So you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our modern Doctor Who reactions, as well as, I guess I can just put up the original video that we did for Mummy on the Orient Express, instead of you having to go find it. But there's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.